see the judge.
Judge Judy?
Going to kick some ass.
I can see Judge Judy.
Going to see Judge Judy. Judge Justice.
Oops. Almost fell.
So we're going to get on the red line. Head on out here. Kick some ass.
Hi, welcome to Garden Dialogue. My name's Mike.
I'm David.
And we're back again for the second episode. And as you could see, we started off the show with some clips of you on your way to the courthouse.
On my way to the courthouse to be judged.
Yeah. So, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Just to skip ahead a little bit, on our third episode, we should be having a really, really interesting interview with a reverend that I came across. And that's going to be pretty interesting because he's running a youth center. And we'll get a little more into that later. But right now, we're going to talk a little bit about the 5-day crisis.
Yeah.
So,
is that what you're calling it? 5 days of hell on earth.
Yeah, 5 days of hell on earth. And like I said, we started out with you going to the courthouse.
Yeah.
And what happened? Tell us the story.
Well, you know how the story kind of began. You know, I got a call from someone that I live with, and they had said, you know, don't plan to do anything tomorrow. And I was like, you know, why not? And they said, because, you know, you got an eviction notice for, you know. And I have to admit, you know, I'm not the greatest person at keeping a budget. I don't pay that much attention to things like that. But the rent had gotten behind, and I didn't really realize it had gotten behind, and so they sent an eviction notice. My initial reaction to the eviction notice was, you know, so what? You know, I couldn't care less. It's the least of my concerns right now. But as the week progressed, things considerably changed. And what I want to kind of like, you know, talk to you about on this particular episode of Garden Dialogue is how quickly our egos can spin out of control when we choose to buy into what I call the illusion.
And what A Course in Miracles calls the illusion.
And so why don't you tell them a little bit about what we're referencing when we speak in terms of the illusion.
Oh boy, the illusion is really the world around us. It's really the physical world around us that we have created through our ego, as it is explained in A Course in Miracles. And when I realized this, when I first read this and heard about this and found out, it really resonated with me. It just made sense to me. I'm creating this crap. And the world and life is really about perception. And the fact is, if you have a positive perception, you always get a positive outcome. I understand how it's very hard. Not that it is very hard, it can be very hard, because it's also very easy not to do it. But it can be difficult for us human beings who are here on the planet. We've come here for whatever reason that is, that we choose to come here before we actually stepped into physical life. We have agreed to be here and basically function along with the ego.
Yes.
But and that's where the perception comes in and creating a lot of the negativity that we see around us. But we have to go back to source, and that's how we really get through all of this. And I think that maybe a lot of people in the world have forgotten source.
Yeah.
And so we're here to share about that.
So since you brought that up, what I'd kind of like to, maybe in this first segment on is my initial response and my initial reaction to being sued by my landlord, and it was because I pretty much live at a pretty high, I like to think a pretty high frequency level, most mornings when I get up, and by the time I've stepped out of my apartment and I'm on my way to work, I'm on cloud 9. You know, I'm a really pretty happy person.
Yeah.
But it comes back to that disconnecting of source, and it also has to do, you know, with staying connected to source. So I know that, you know, my initial reaction to it was, as it usually is to most things, you know, I'm bigger than this.
Right.
You know, this is not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna let this ruin my day, you know, so to speak.
Not that you're gonna ignore it and you're gonna take care of business, but you're not gonna let it screw everything up for you.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, I wasn't, you know, I always think in terms of, you know, it's not going to ruin my day.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not gonna control me, I'm gonna control it.
It kind of reminds me of that story, you know, the man gets up out of bed, he stubs his toe somewhere on his bed or whatever, and then the rest of the day is just ruined for him.
Yeah.
Accident after accident, because he let that vibration become the dominant vibration of the day.
Yeah. I can remember having days like that,
Mhm.
you know, back in the dark days.
I still have them all the time.
Yeah, you know, so, and I think that's a part of being in the body.
Yeah,
You know, that's,
yeah.
and it's like you said, you know, we choose to come here and to be in this body so that we do have those physical experiences. And I think the lesson is how we choose
Yeah.
to view them and how we choose to let them, you know, basically manipulate our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.